Okay, Gaurav. Thank you. Hi, everyone. This is Praveen. I'm supposed to be your Palo Alto trainer, and let me just give some introduction about myself. I have around 11-year production experience as well as like 6 years of training experience. I delivered as my training portfolio that entire Cisco as well as Palo Alto firewall. Apart from that, I'm a CCI security plus CCI data center certified, and recently I have completed my DevNet specialist certification as well. So that's about me. Um, as because this is a demo session, I don't want to waste any time in further introduction stuff. If we join the class, that time we do our introduction. So let me just quickly start with the demonstration. Let me share my screen. What happened? Okay, guys, are you able to see my screen?
Not yet,
Hello?
sir.
Not yet.
Yes, now it's visual.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so okay. Okay, so before understanding about Palo Alto as a next generation firewall, I just want to have two things I want to understand that over here, whatever members are currently going through this demonstration, there will be only one prerequisite that you guys need to have a basic knowledge of routing and switching part. Okay, that is my assumption. I assume this that you all guys are from a network background. Apart from that, I would cover everything over here, even the routing which is related to specifically to the firewall. I would cover that. So quickly start with the understanding that what is your next generation, like what is your next generation firewall, first of all. Rather than going directly jumping on directly Palo Alto, we need to understand that what is your next generation firewall. Any ideas, if you have, we can post this demonstration, we can discuss that as well. So next generation firewall is basically a normal legacy firewall plus a unified threat management system plus cloud subscriptions. Okay. So when I say a normal firewall, when I say a normal firewall, I can say is like, sorry guys. Okay. So this is a normal legacy firewall. I assume it behaves only till layer 4. Okay. When we say layer 4, I'm describing over here, I'm referring to the part which covers your OSI layer. We are talking about OSI layer over here. Layer 4 is, guys, layer 4 is our transport layer, right? Transport layer, where we identify the traffic on the base of TCP or UDP ports. That's it. Okay. On above, if we want to go, we have to go through a portion of the firewall which we call unified threat management, where it also checks the application layer. So these two parts, when merged initially in 2009, I guess 2007, sorry, not 9, 2007, at the advent of 2007, many vendors, whether it be Sourcefire, whether it be your Fortinet, whether it be Checkpoint, these vendors come up with the idea of unified threat management. That time, no one is aware about that the upcoming threats and attacks are getting so sophisticated that the unified threat management system would not be sufficient, would not be suffice enough, because unified threat management will only work on the known vulnerabilities, only works on known vulnerabilities. What about unknown vulnerabilities, where your artificial intelligence and machine learning comes into play? What about those? So those things can't be catered on box. It can't be catered on box. So for that, the vendors come up with a solution called cloud subscription. And I'm not talking about only Palo Alto, whether it be Cisco, whether it be Checkpoint. Again, I'm talking about whether it be Cisco, Checkpoint, or any Sophos or any firewall, which is right now claiming themselves as a NGFW. They have some kind of cloud subscription service. What is this cloud subscription service? We'll understand in a while. But first of all, we'll see that this together, this together parts becomes your next generation firewall. And here what the beauty of Palo Alto come up is. So Palo Alto is the first firewall which brings up this cloud subscription part. First, they are the leading one, and they come up with the proprietary technology of app identification. It's not like other vendors are not doing this. They have a very big data lake. They have a very big data lake unit 32. They call it as unit 32, and it's their 12 years of data retention from various customers. They are retaining the data from various customers, and as a part of cloud subscription, they keep on pushing this, say, this app ID, content ID, all those things in a form of signatures in your firewall. After that, your firewall becomes, eligible even to find out the unknown threats, even to find out the unknown threats. Okay. So let's go to our next slide. Okay. So cyber attack. So in order to use a next generation firewall, we need to understand how the attack been planned actually, and then only we can create a kill chain for these attacks, right? If we don't understand how the theft can be done, if we don't understand, we can't create a access control over it. We can't create a lock for it, right? If we know the thief come up with a hammer, a normal lock is sufficient. We don't have to invest a lot of amount in a biometric kind of lock, right? But if we understand the thief which is coming, it's quite sophisticated, he understands the technology. In that scenario, we need to come up with a good plan. And that's why we need to understand the cyber attack life cycle. So reconnaissance, weaponization, delivery, exploitation, installation, command and control, access on objective, these are all common steps. Whether it be throughout the world, these are the known steps. And your Palo Alto is capable of finding the threat on each step. And in order to kill this cyber attack life cycle, any one step to encounter in any one step in the phase to encounter is sufficient enough. Palo Alto is capable of blocking at each level. But we need to understand over here that if we create a policy, on all the phases, what will happen? What will happen? Your throughput might decrease. Your throughput of the data might decrease. The reason behind of that, because your packet will be investigated on each level, and if the packet get investigated on each level, what will happen? Your throughput will suffer. So you are not going to get the same throughput what you are going to get without security. So you need to come up with. Hello. Can you? Your voice is not bit clear. Your voice is not clear. Sorry. Hello.
Go ahead, sir. I think it's by mistake.
Okay. So the other thing is like what your Palo Alto is giving. Actually, what Palo Alto offers and how this cyber attack lifecycle will be mitigated at each phases, we will understand in our further classes. I can only guarantee of that in the further classes you will see at each step how it will mitigate the steps and what need to be done and what will be the throughput on that particular phase. We will understand each and every part. So we'll go to the next slide and we will see that what I was talking about. So this things is the cyber attack lifecycle, and this thing is the offering from the Palo Alto for threat prevention. But these will come up as an objective. These will come up with an objective that what is the approach? Like this is the approach for the threat prevention, but how on a bigger, on a bigger overview, how it has been seen. So you can see on your orange side in your slide on the orange side, it's been mentioned app ID, URL filtering, vulnerabilities, anti-spyware, antivirus, traps. This slide is quite little bit old. Traps is no more available. Traps is upgraded as Cortex. You guys might have heard about this term. Okay, so sorry for the slide, but I will update it during our classes. So this trap is no more available. Traps has been upgraded to Cortex. What is Cortex? I will discuss one by one. Okay. Then file blocking, DOS, denial of service or zone-based protection, and then we'll come up with the WildFire. So you can see app ID is the trademark feature and WildFire is the registered feature. It's a registered feature to Palo Alto. There will be a difference between trademark and registration. It's related to security policies, documentation part. But let's understand one by one why this thing and how this thing has been categorized in Palo Alto in a bigger term. I'm going to write it down one by one. So let me just, okay. So in order to categorize your packet in these things, you need to first of all have a visibility, right? You need to have a visibility. Visibility can be provided in any in any firewall or any devices in terms of logging and reporting, right? So it provides you a very good logging and reporting mechanism, and through that it creates a visibility. Once the data which is transiting from the firewall is visible, what you can do or what the policy can be created in terms of it can reduce the attack surface, right? If you see the transit traffic, you can create your policy as per the visibility what you receive there, right? Rather than creating blindly the entire policy what available to the firewall, what it will do, it will ultimately decrease your performance of the traffic. So we are not going to do that. We first see what kind of visibility we have, and accordingly we'll create the policies. The policies further reduce the attack surface, right? Once the attack surface been reduced, what will happen? It prevents the known threats, right? It prevents the known threats. Once the attack surface has been reduced, the bigger grains, like you guys have seen the farmers, they are doing sowing, right? The bigger grains will keep on in the, in their hand, and the lighter part will be on the ground, right? So once the attack surface is reduced, it will come up with the known threats, and it will be easily blocked, right? It will be easily prevented. But when I mention over here known threat, that means there will be some unknown threats as well, right? How it will prevent the unknown threat? Unknown threat is now in your hand. It will be in the logs. So it can be prevented with the help of sandboxing solution. It can also be prevented. So it will prevent the unknown threats also. So this entire offering in a bigger terms categorized in these four portions: visibility, reducing attack surface, preventing known threats, and preventing unknown threats. Sorry. So application ID identification or URL filtering, it will come up with the visibility, right? When it will be visible, then only you will see all this thing. Any kind of vulnerability, any kind of anti-spyware, antivirus, spyware will be seen, then anti-spyware and antivirus come into play, and it will block. Traps are basically related to your endpoint protection. Now it is upgraded to a terminology named Cortex XDR, extended detection and response system. It is falling under your EDR solution, endpoint detection and response system. Okay, so it is going to work on an endpoint system as well. So these are creating visibility. After that, these are preventing. Now file blocking.
Pardon
File
me, sir.
blocking is what?
So
So application
basically,
identification, right? Application identification is like, so if I ask anyone like TCP port 80 or TCP 443, what kind of application it is? Anyone?
HTTP and HTTPS.
Thank you. Anyone else? What was your name?
Munawar.
Munawar. Thank you, Munawar. So TCP port 80 and TCP 443, normally if anyone asks me this question, I would answer like Munawar answered it. But this is not a complete, this is not, Munawar is partially correct, but is not completely correct. Because if I'm an attacker, I can, I can change my ports and try to, try to evade the firewall, because I know these are the legit ports for any kind of web service, and get into the access of the web server, because TCP port 80 and port 443 is used for web services. But my firewall is smart. We are talking about Palo Alto app ID feature over here. Try to understand, application is not just the TCP and the port. It's not just that. Application has further behavior. Application has further behavior. In order to clarify my answer, what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a small demonstration with the help of our browser. So when I type google.com, what happened over here? So I open a developer tool and I will go to network portion. I just so I go inside the payload, and over here you see there is some kind of payload been transferred. Okay, I also, let me just I'll check the header, and you see over here some request method has been sent and get a status code 200. So, what I did, Munawar, I did HTTPS on google.com. So it has a DNS communication, right? It has a
Yes.
communication to the web server, right? So when I communicated to the web server send a request method which is called get. Get means to query the web server, and this will only happen in a HTTP and HTTPS protocol only. So these kind of information is inside your Palo Alto, and then only not just the TCP port 80, it will also understand this kind of request method, and then only it will accept it that this communication is tagged as a app ID of web or app ID of HTTPS. Not just TCP port 80 is sufficient. Yes, if the default port is not changed, it will also tag the communication as TCP port 80. I hope I'm clear myself, right? So TCP port 80 and 443 by default it is web service only, but it's not always true. Someone can evade the firewall with this just information, and that's why it is always suggested that when you're using a next generation firewall, you have to use app ID rather than service ports. So these are called service port. When I put my policy with application ID, it will also check the entire signature and then only it will allow. Okay.
Oh, got it.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Thank you. Same goes with the if any kind of spyware communication is happening. So how my firewall is going to recognize a spyware field? Again, I'm telling you guys, this URL filtering is now from 10.x onwards. This URL filtering is now advanced URL filtering. I'll tell you the difference between URL filtering and advanced URL filtering. So URL filtering is a offline database again from Palo Alto been pushed. So if someone is trying to go to a server named google.com, it will be filtered as a URL database of search engines. Okay, search engine category. But in an advanced URL filtering, what it will do, it will perform some kind of machine learning approach, and that is against a subscription part. That machine learning approach will be done on the base of their data retentions from several customers. Okay. Again, like I said, it has a very big data lake, and against this data lake, they are going to check this entire communication, and then only it will be allowed or denied. Vulnerability, it's the same, like vulnerability will be still the same. Anti-spyware is still the same, and these all are against a licensing feature which we call content IDs. So content ID is a licensing part, comes under threat, comes under threat prevention license, comes under threat prevention license. Then traps is no more available, so it's a Cortex, and it is against a cloud-based solution. It is again a cloud-based solution. File blocking falls under data leak prevention DLP solution. So file leak, for example, file blocking, for example, someone is having exe file, rar file, zip file, gz file, tar file, any kind of file, it will be there. If I know my organization is not dealing in this type of files, so we can create a DLP profile in my policy, and it can be blocked. Denial of service or zone protection. So on a base, on a base of number of simultaneous connection or concurrent connections in certain time, we can create a profile, and it will only allow that much traffic. Rest of the traffic will be denied on the interface itself. WildFire. WildFire, like I said, that our firewall is capable to prevent known as well as unknown files. Known files, we all know, against the signature, it will be blocked with the help of anti-spyware and antivirus. But what about some file we are not known to it? Our firewall is not aware of it. In that situation, WildFire solution comes up. WildFire is their Sandbox solution. Now, what is Sandbox? Let me draw it. So Okay. So this is your firewall. This is internet. This is DMZ. This is inside client trying to go to internet. What will happen? That let's say after the connection been established between the internet web server, some web server over here, okay, between the client and the web server, some traffic has been going to firewall, and it is trying to fetch some kind of file from the internet, some kind of file from the internet. What will happen? If it is a known file, how firewall understand this file is known to my firewall or not? So it will perform a hashing. It is perform a hashing. Against that hash value, firewall check its signature. Firewall checked its signature and find if the firewall is malicious or not. If the file is malicious or not. If the hash is inside the signature already available in the firewall, what will the WildFire give a verdict as a clear file or clean file? Allow the file to the client. If the file is not known, if the file is not known, it will upload the firewall. It will upload the file back to a solution in internet only provided by Palo Alto, a WildFire cloud-based solution. It will upload that file in a Sandbox. What WildFire will does? WildFire will check online that from different customers, like I said, it has a database. So from different customer, anyone has approach for this file. If WildFire online database is also not aware about this file, what it will do? It will perform a sandbox. So sandbox is nothing but this file will be executed. It will be installed or opened in a isolated environment. Over there, they spin up various operating system, with might be Linux, might be Windows different versions, according to the file type. Let's say if it is a exe, that exe is the extension related to Windows, right? If it is a tar or gz file, it is related to Linux. So according to the extension, if it is a apk file or something else, accordingly it will open up that kind of operating system and try to open the file. If the file shows some kind of malicious behavior, it will recalculate the hash and tag that hash with a verdict as malicious file and send that verdict back to firewall, and firewall update its database with that hash value only. And later on, if the file comes again, so that file will be blocked now, because the verdict which has been sent by WildFire to the firewall is at malicious. So it will be blocked, and it will take the entire time, it will take 5 minutes. So till 5 minutes that file will not be available to the client if it is unknown. If it is known, then if it is clean, allowed. If it is known as a malicious, then it will be blocked there itself. If it is unknown, then after 5 minutes, maybe it is clean, it will be available. So if it is unknown and your WildFire offline database on the firewall is not updated, then only this 5 minutes will be taken, otherwise not. Okay, so that is your WildFire sandbox solution.
Unknown in the sense like how
unknown, that means, see, there are 0-day attacks as well, right? There are 0-day attacks as well. So in a era of artificial intelligence and in an era of machine learning, the attacks are also getting sophisticated day by day. So unknown, that means firewall is not aware about that particular file hash value. Firewall calculated the grayware, benign files, and unknown files hash value already in their WildFire database. Okay, in the form of a signature. If any of these are not available, firewall consider that file as unknown. Once the firewall consider that file as unknown, it is going to check the size of the firewall the size of the file as well. Any size will not be uploaded to WildFire. Try to understand. if it is under the maximum available size. I'll show you where we can set that maximum. Let's say the maximum upload size of the WildFire I have considered 45 MB, not more than that, because if it is more than that, I would deny it. I would not allow. Okay. So 45 MB bigger file in a single, in a single chunk, if it is coming and it is unknown to the firewall, the signature is not available. So in order to make it known, what it will do, it is going to ask to the cloud subscription WildFire subscription service, which is over the internet to Palo Alto. How it will ask? It will upload the file. It will upload the file to Palo Alto cloud service. If you have the subscription, then only. If you have WildFire subscription, then only it will upload. It will upload the file and Palo Alto is going to check its data. It is its database. Even your database of Palo Alto is also not aware of. Then it performs a sandbox. What is sandbox? Sandbox is like, as per the extension of the file, it is going to spin up the operating system, and inside the operating system isolated environment, it is going to open the file. If the file is not showing any kind of malicious behavior, Palo Alto calculate the hash value, some SHA value it is going to calculate, and send that hash value with a tag, with a verdict that this file is okay to allow in your environment. This file is not showing any kind of malicious behavior, and then only your firewall, from the next time when you try to get that file again, it will be started downloading to the client machine. That's how the unknown file makes known to the firewall. Next time onwards, if the same file is been tried by the client, that is the hash value now known to the firewall. It is not going to upload the same type of file to the cloud service. It is now known to the firewall. Only in a case of unknown file, it is going to perform the sandboxing. Okay. This is
Okay.
a brief, what say? This is a brief packet flow of WildFire. It is quite deep. When I'm going to cover the entire WildFire chapter in our training, that time I will make more clearer with the flow diagram. There is a complete flow diagram for WildFire. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, Amit.
Hi.
Hi, Amit.
I wanted to know, yeah, hi. For
Yes.
this wildfire, does the Palo Alto need to be online, or if the Palo
Yes.
Alto is, for
Palo
example,
Alto anyways
offline?
need to be always available over the internet. I'll tell you
There
the
are
reason
some
why.
scenario. There are some scenario where, for example, where for Palo Alto is not made online to the internet, it's like isolated.
Okay. So
In
in
that
that
scenario,
scenario, if your firewall is not online, that means it has no
connected
internet
to internet.
connection, right? This is
Yeah.
what you're saying. You are using
Yeah,
it
yeah.
somewhere internal, right?
Yes, yes.
So in that scenario, you are actually misutilizing. I mean, you have a tank, you have a Bofors, a bigger tank, but you are
Mhm.
using it as a RPG or a pistol. I would say that
Mhm.
only.
Basically,
Try
wildfire
to
will
understand
work
this thing.
only
Yeah, actually you are
Palo Alto is
misutilizing a
online.
resource. Even the bigger, because try to understand, this Palo Alto firewall is not a cheap firewall. First of all, it's very costly. If someone is buying such firewall and keeping it under the hood, not using it over the perimeter or somewhere, so if not in the perimeter, at least this Palo Alto firewall need to be used in the DMZ. DMZ is a place, right, where your where your applications being hosted, right, guys, behind the load balancer. Normally, the organization are hosting their in-house applications over the internet in the DMZ. So at least this firewall will be used inside the DMZ, and not and on any one of the tier like perimeter or DMZ, this firewall has internet connection. That's for sure. Without internet connection, your app ID, your content ID, your URL filtering database, your WildFire, these are not going to work at all. These should be
Okay,
updated.
okay,
Keep on updating.
okay, got it.
Okay,
Thank you.
got it? Okay. Because these are, like I said, in the beginning of my class, you have seen I have created 3 diagrams. One, a legacy firewall. Second, unified threat management. And third is cloud subscription, right? When all these parts fuse together, a next generation firewall is created. You remember, guys, you remember these all are working previously before than 2007 or 2009, if I'm not wrong, if I remember the year correctly, as a separate entities, right? So cloud subscription are basically works in the form of a proxy, right? People are creating connectors over the cloud and prevent the try to get prevention. Then unified threat management comes into picture. It's a separate box, UTMs. They're called as UTMs, but these days nobody is talking about UTMs anymore. People are only talking about NGFW, whether it be Checkpoint, Cisco, FortiGate, Sophos, Jetscaler, or Palo Alto. These are the leading names, what I know, and out of these leading names, Palo Alto never leave its place as a leader in the Gartner report. Even in 2023, Palo Alto was in Gartner. Okay. So apart from its competitors, like if you talk about Checkpoint, I would say Checkpoint is the first next generation firewall. But how Palo Alto compete? You have a firewall already in the market, but firewall compete and creates its own place. How? If someone over here worked on Checkpoint, I can guarantee you during the class you will see how simple this firewall is. It's very easy to learn. It's very easy to work. And due to that, when you decrease the complexity in the configuration, you will reduce the human error. Right or wrong, guys? If something is complex, what will happen? The administrator might make some mistake. He might forget some kind of configuration and made human error. When the human error happen on a firewall, what will happen? Some of your services might compromise, right? The more complex your configuration of the firewall will be, the more chances of a human error, right? So this firewall is very simple to configure. You can configure from anywhere to any place. If you are on some other dashboard, you can call the profile there. I mean, it is all interlinked. On the contrary, if I talk about Cisco, I'm a CCI certified. I worked on FTDs. I can even take class on FTDs, but they are very complex to configure. You need to find each tab here and there. It is very difficult. And Checkpoint, so as the Checkpoint as well. Okay, their architecture is kind of like riddle. So Palo Alto approach from the very first day is to reduce the complexity of the configuration, and that's why it holds its place. And they grow in a phases. Like when Palo Alto initially come up in the market, they don't have this kind of feature from the very first day. I'll tell you. Today firewall available in a different form factors. Palo Alto firewalls are available in different form factors, whether it be, if I talk about 2014 is the year when the virtual firewall come into picture. Before that, there is no virtual firewall. And that is the advent of cloud. So with the advent of the cloud in the market, Palo Alto come up with the VM series of the firewall. Why? Because if it is not VM, then it will not be spin up in the cloud. In the cloud, you need to have VM only. And that's how Palo Alto come up with this approach. Now, not only the VM, Palo Alto come up with a solution with the container-based solution. Okay, for micro segmentation. For micro segmentation, it come up with the container-based firewall, CN series firewall as well. So the form factor in the Palo Alto which is available: PA series, VM series, SASE. If you guys heard about Prisma, so that is their security as a security assertion security edge, Prisma, and their CN series. Okay, so PA series is their physical firewall, come up in a different model, 220, then 800, then 550. Sorry, so 550, 800, then 550R, then 3200, then 5200. In 5200 also there are two flavors. One is 5230 and 5250, and then 7000. So these are the hardware. These are the hardware. Then the VM series. So VM series come up with VM 50, VM 100, VM 500. So these are the VM series, and so are the CN. So CN, they don't have any kind of series. So in these various form factors it is coming. Okay, of course, if you are using hardware, it limits to the usage, to the capacity planning, how many customers you have, how big is the data center, what kind of business, what kind of in business you are. Accordingly, you need to decide how much throughput is required. So Palo Alto is giving a very good tool on their site to create a capacity planning, and after that you can place your order for the firewall, what type of firewall you want. Okay, till 2000 till 2000 uh, 2020 there was no container series. So 2020 is the time when container series has been released. Okay, when Docker, Kubernetes, these type of stuffs are in market. Okay. So the thing which I have already talked about, it has been seen as a term of your PPT. So next generation firewall, it identifies and inspect all the traffic. Like I said, it provides visibility, right? Then it blocks the known threats. Like I said, against the signature, against the database signature or content IDs or application IDs, it will block all the known threats. Any type of unknown threats, it is going to send it to the cloud. Okay, extensible to mobile and virtual network. So when I said mobile and virtual network, that means anywhere your traffic will be, whether it be on a virtual network, that means on a VM series, or whether it be on a application base, so on a container series. Both at both the places your next generation firewall works. Then threat intelligence it provides on the base of the subscription. So it gathers all the potential threat from various network endpoints in a form of data lake, right? So Palo Alto has a huge data lake. They call it at Unit 32, and it is having a 12-year of retention time period. So they hold this database and keep on doing some kind of machine learning stuff over it, and accordingly it come up with the different signatures and start pushing to different customers. So let's say if you are one customer, if I am one customer, there are several customers to the Palo Alto, and the more their customer base will be increased, the more better data they can provide. Not only that, they also gather data from third party bigger sources as well. Okay, then it decimates all the threat intelligence to the network available or the Palo Alto database. Advanced endpoint protection come up with the idea of the traps, but it inspect all the files and the processes as per you know WildFire available or Cortex XDR accordingly. So that type of that type of security is also been provided if you have subscribed to Cortex. I'm taking this name Cortex, but let me clear myself. Cortex is not the part of our curriculum. Okay, we are limited to Palo Alto Firewall and Panorama. Yes, Adarsh.
Pravi, just can you clear my one doubt?
Tell me.
So basically, when an unknown traffic comes to the firewall and
Mm-hmm.
WildFire comes into action, and
Mm-hmm.
when the data when it goes to Palo Alto database and it is not present on that.
Mm-hmm.
So once
Mm-hmm.
the Sandbox results are uploaded, one copy are the copies only data is only uploaded to the firewall or the Palo
It is
Alto
not.
database itself.
Yeah, yeah. So when it is uploaded over there, yes. So when it is uploaded on the Palo Alto database, it opens the file, try to gather the information on the base of the trajectory or the file, what it performs inside that operating system. Once it is done, they dissolve their operating system along with the file. File will be removed. They are not going to keep the file to it themselves. They only keep the hash value of the malicious. I mean, their identity it will keep. That's it.
Okay,
They not keep
okay.
on,
So just a last question. So
Yes.
uh, if a hash has been identified and it for in a different organization, the
Mm-hmm.
firewall belongs to a different organization, and if
Mm-hmm.
that hash value is received
Mm-hmm.
on a different organization's firewall, then
Mm-hmm.
it will be known as a known threat, right? As
Yes,
per the
now it is
Palo Alto.
known because see, once it create the hash to the WildFire database, that will be decimated to all the network endpoints, irrespective of the fact that it belongs to me or you. It is known to
Okay,
WildFire now, right? So if you are
okay,
subscribed to WildFire, it will push that information to you as well. So tomorrow, if you are also your client is also trying to get that, get that file, so now it is known to Palo Alto because someone else has performed this thing for you already. Okay. So this is
thanks for the
quite fast.
clarification. Got
Got
it.
it? So whether it be you or someone else, if it is known to Palo Alto, if someone has also performed, this is what I'm saying, that this is machine learning. So this firewall, the next generation firewall, we are talking about 10x series, 9x, post 9x series firewall. These are ML enabled. It is machine learning powered. These are dynamic in nature. Okay, they are quite capable of encountering the 0-day malware as well. Okay, so try to understand one more time this, this thing, because we just only talk about it, we can't completely visualize it. I can only show you that here you can see with the CLI command or maybe on the GUI that right now file is being upload successful, you see the verdict. These are things I can show you, but what is happening in the background I can't show you because this is with Palo Alto, right? Like I can't show you this. It will generate a proper PDF report. Do you know that? It will generate a proper PDF report that these are the operating system, this file has been opened, and the verdict and the scale criteria will be this, and after that the hash value has been created, and firewall take the, sorry, WildFire will take the verdict on it. So when the file receives to the firewall, it will check that the file is signed by a trusted signer or not. I don't want to use this technical terminologies. Maybe you're not able to understand what is trusted signer and all right now. Tomorrow, when we go deeper into the class, you will understand what is trusted signer. What is trusted signer, guys? What is trusted signer? So you see any kind of
Some
file, if
authority
you,
who signs.
yes, if you open any kind of file, in its properties, you will see the information that who created that file, when it is created. These kind of information will be there. So when it checks that, and these are the signatures of a file, okay, which is available online. So firewall will see that it is signed by a trusted signer. Trusted signer, that means firewall is aware about that in that signed authority or not. And those information is already available inside the firewall. So if it is a yes, then it will allow the firewall. If it is no, then it will perform a hash on the file. Okay, it will not go ahead immediately perform the hash. It will first check the trusted signing on the firewall or not, and then it will perform a hash on it. Okay, if it is not the trusted signing, then it will perform a hash on the file. Okay, if the hash will be seen in the WildFire, I'm saying inbox, you have a connection to the WildFire, but there are some inbox signature as well, then it will be seen in the WildFire or not. If it is yes, then the firewall, your WildFire will take a 4 classes of verdict for the firewall. It depends on the property of the file. The 4 verdict will be benign firewall, which is clean in nature, grayware firewall, which is somewhere clean, somewhere, I mean, it's a dicey thing. So that is also by default allow. Then the fourth thing is phishing, then it will be denied. And the, sorry, third thing is phishing, and the fourth thing will be malware, then it is allowed. So 2 part, benign and grayware are allowed, phishing and malware will be denied. And this is when your in-house WildFire signature will be seen. Now let's talk about it is not been seen. The hash value is not been seen in the firewall. Then what it will do? It will check the size of the firewall. Like I said, it will check the size. Any size is not uploaded on the cloud because you will fill up your cloud connection immediately, right? Your throughput will be decreases. That is the hacker, if aware about that this much file you can started uploading, what it will do, it will might create a denial of service attack, right? Because your firewall started busy in uploading the files, and what will happen, your throughput will be decreased, your user might not be able to browse the internet, your internet availability will be gone. So that is denial of service, right? So you can set that this much big file only it will upload. If it is more than this, straight away deny the firewall. Okay, deny the firewall, that means do not perform WildFire analysis on it. After that, whatever you want to do, if you want to allow, you can allow it. If not, then you can deny. So we are talking about a use case of no, like it is not the hash which is generated, it is not known to the in-house WildFire. If the maximum is, if the maximum is under it, then it will allow and started, it will allow the firewall to your environment. If no, then it will perform a sandbox in it. In the sandbox, again, those all things will happen. WildFire analysis, it will generate the verdict, it will inform the firewall as a verdict, it will update the file list, and then it will generate the signature. Once the signature is generated, it will available in a form of a daily update to all the customers. So it might be this all analysis of the file might be happen on me, but now it will be available as a daily updates to all the customers. Hope I'm clear right now, Amit. Sorry, Adarsh. Adarsh asked this question, right?
Yes, Praveen, I got it. Thanks.
Okay. So it might, when you heard this entire process, you might heard as a long story, but firewall does all these things in a if it is unknown in just 5 minutes. In just 5 minutes, if it is unknown. Okay. This firewall has a unique architecture of single pass parallel processing, which again, like I said, if you enable all the security features on the firewall, what will happen? Your throughput will be decreased. But again, someone asked, Praveen, then what is the point of having all the features if I'm not able to enable it? I would not say that do not enable it, but you have to understand your traffic portfolio. You have to understand that this traffic is my internal traffic. I don't need this much of security. This traffic is a inbound traffic that someone is trying to access some of the web application residing in the DMZ environment from outside. So this traffic must have utmost security. Most critical part of it is. So over there, I'm going to use the entire security portfolio. So this way I have to understand my architecture, and then only I can create the policies. But in spite of that, Palo Alto is well aware that they have a big, big offering. And if I'm not, if I'm going to restrict the customer to not to use the security profiles, then what is the point of giving this, right? So that's why Palo Alto created a robust architecture of their engine, of their firewall engine, and that is called single pass parallel processing, SP3. So what SP3 does, it classify the, so it is going to create per packet operations, okay? And for that, they have dedicated processing units. So over here, like I mentioned, it has a function-specific parallel processing hardware engines. They provide dedicated CPU for that part. And that's why when a packet is open, it will be simultaneously been processed in each engine, and lastly it is going to be assembled and get through it. And that's why your throughput might hamper, but not as of like other firewalls. It might hamper, but it will be very, very minimal because of this single pass parallel processing architecture. Now, unlike all the firewalls, so these two things are quite common on all the firewalls. One, it is having control plane, and another it is having data plane, right? So data plane is responsible for your data traffic, the transit traffic, the through traffic from the firewall. Management plane is, or control plane is to the firewall itself. As the diagram already shows you, management plane is responsible for having the entire configuration, generating reports and logging, and it has dedicated RAM, dedicated CPU, and dedicated storage. There is a by default management interface available in each hardware box, which is dedicated to this plane only. You can't change it, okay, even if you want to. But on the contrary, any transit plane interface, if you want to make it management, you can make it management. But management interface can't be changed to transit, okay? Now let's talk about data plane. So in the data plane, we have the signature, entire signature capabilities, security processing, the security policy processing will be happen. So you see the signature match has a separate RAM, security processing has a separate RAM and CPU, and network processing has a separate unit into it. And this is what the beauty of this firewall is. This is what the beauty of this firewall is. And that's why it is quite fast. It is quite fast. Also, like any other firewall, it has a capability to create virtual firewall inside the same firewall, which we termed as VSIS. Okay. Again, I don't want to make your expectation high, guys, over here. What I'm going to cover practically, I can cover. What not, okay. So what not, it will not be possible for me. For example, VSIS. VSIS is something I can cover theoretically, but practically it won't be possible because VSIS is related to a high-end firewall which is used by the service providers. So VSIS is only available from 3000 series of physical firewall. It is not available below than that, like 800 series firewall, 200 series firewall, 500 series firewall, it is not available. Okay, we can't create VSIS into it. The reason is clear. Like this firewall has dedicated units. Once you create the VSIS inside the same firewall, what will happen? It will take the resources from the same firewall. Like it will allocate the CPU, it will allocate the RAM, it will allocate the memory over there. And that's why it is not possible on a smaller series firewall. Why VSIS is needed? If you have a multi-tenant architecture, if you are a cloud service provider or cloud security service provider, you have various customers. For each customer, you can't go ahead and create, give it a new firewall, brand new firewall to that customer, right? It will be quite costly for you. So what you did, you have bought a big firewall, chassis-based firewall from Palo Alto or maybe some other vendor, and create VSIS inside it. In FortiGate, if I remember correctly, it is called VDOMs. In Cisco, it is called context, I guess. And in Checkpoint, it's called VSX clusters. So, okay. So again, there are few things what has been over here. This slide is for explanation. I'll, if you guys need, I can share this, explanation to you. I'm not going to read it out. If you want to read, you can give a try. Okay, so like we are on this page, I have seen just now this SSL decryption, so I'm going to discuss a little bit of it. Like we just discussed that this firewall creates visibility. Now, how come if your traffic is encrypted? How come the visibility will be created if your traffic is encrypted? SSL is secure socket layer, right? And when we're talking about secure, that means with the key, with the asymmetric key, your entire traffic will be encrypted. If the traffic will be encrypted, your firewall is not, even if your firewall is not capable to see the content inside it. Right or wrong, guys? If it is encrypted and if someone in between will be able to see it, there is no point of having encryption, right? But this firewall is capable. If you enable SSL decryption on it, it will perform SSL decryption. Once it is decrypted, after that it will take action on the base of the visibility what it has created, and then it will take the verdict as per the security policy you have created. Without SSL decryption, it won't be able to perform any kind of content inspection. Okay. Same like by other firewalls, we have QoS, we have route lookup. These are the network processes available over there. Then this is your physical form factors. So this is chassis-based firewall, what I talked about. just now. It has high speed chassis interconnects available. These are all line cards inside it. It has a big processing unit, and this is the firewall what I talked about, has a capability to create VCs into it. Even in 5200 series, you can create VCs into it. In 3000 series also you can create VCs. Even in 800 and 220 series also you can create VCs. This is the what say your Panorama boxes, physical boxes. So M100 and M500 it comes up, and over here there is a WF500 also mentioned. So it is for WildFire management. Okay, if you have WildFire come up in a local in-house box as well. This has mentioned with your throughputs available in a VM series. Okay, so how much memory been dedicated by default, and how much connection can be created simultaneously. These things will be available over here. So I'm going to stop our class over here as a demonstration. If you guys have any question, we can have it post this session. Okay, Amit, tell me.
Just the question for this slide, for the VM series, is new hardware is needed or is done on Panorama?
Come again for VM series.
For VM series, do we need to buy a physical hardware of Palo Alto, or it can be done
No.
just on
VM
Panorama?
runs on your vCenter, your ESXi cluster, your ESXi.
Okay, like VMware, like
Yeah, like VMware. Yes, VMware.
okay.
That's why it is VM series, right? So VM series are widely used throughout the throughout the world. VM series firewall are widely used in the cloud environment like AWS, Azure. Over there it is running. In-house people won't prefer VM series. You can run if you want, but it won't be preferred. The reason is quite clear, because once you are using in-house, you have to dedicate, if you want to have a throughput of what say 40 gig, if you want to have a throughput, so that much big line card interface you need to connect to your server, right? And that physical NIC you need to make it available to your VM box inside the ESXi. That big storage you need to have. So that's why people won't prefer to have their in-house data center VM series firewall. They are going for physical firewall only, unless they are using their they are having their enterprise architecture over the cloud. If you have over the cloud, you can have this Palo Alto VM series firewall available inside the cloud from the cloud marketplace. Okay, once it is the image been purchased over there, licensed in the cloud, you can create the zones and map your firewall with it and start using it. You can use the same way you are going to use it in the data center. There is no difference once been deployed, whether it be in-house or
So even
cloud.
the signatures and everything will be
Everything will
similar
be
to.
as it is, no difference. Even
Okay.
if you want, you can manage with your in-house Panorama. Let's say your Panorama is in your data center, but your firewall is in the cloud. You can manage from your Panorama the cloud firewall as well. You just need to make your Panorama reachable to the cloud firewalls. You can manage them in-house.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
that is a hybrid architecture of your firewall management.
Hello, Praveen.
Yes.
Praveen, I joined in a
Your
little
voice
bit
is
late.
quite low. Can you come up near with the mic?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear now.
Yeah, I joined in a little bit late. So I had a
No issue.
question that Panorama is a hardware platform or it is an virtual management,
Both.
both. So
It
it
come
is
up in a
usually
both
used,
flavor.
okay.
Y-
And one more question.
Yes.
It is used to manage all the Palo Alto firewalls, right?
Yes, not just the management. So there will be two flavors of like deployment of the Panorama. One is in standalone mode where it manages and creating report, logging and report. Okay. And the
Okay.
other flavor will be Panorama is running in a management mode, and the log collector will be a separate, separate machine. So you can distribute the role so that you can have a higher throughput. The reason being,
Okay.
let's say if you have 100 of firewalls, and if you are using just one panorama for log collection, reporting, as well as management, you do understand what kind of load when the log is coming to a logging server, right? From
Yes.
100 of firewalls. And that kind of logging, that kind of intense logging, because it has multiple offerings, like it has app ID feature, it has signature, it has content, it has URL filtering. This much of data, if it is ingesting to a single box, that box will be getting performance issues. So
Okay.
it depends what kind of architect. If you have 4 firewalls, 8 firewalls, I would say 10 firewalls, maybe 20 firewalls, Panorama in a standalone mode will be sufficient enough. But if you have more than 100 firewalls, it is not at all recommended to have Panorama deployed in a single, Panorama mode. So Panorama mode, it will be perform both. In management mode, it will be only managing, and log collection will be on a separate box. Both are running, both
Okay.
are called Panorama only. Panorama log collector will be separate, Panorama management will be separate.
So without Panorama, Palo Alto Firewall cannot be deployed. Means if I want to deploy a single
Not at
one.
all. I'm not saying that. No, it depends. Like if you have a a small enterprise, like mid-size company you have, I won't say that have Panorama. I won't say. If you have 2 firewall, no need. 4 firewall, even 4 firewall, no need. Not needed.
Okay. 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 Thank you.
Panorama is just for, see, whatever Panorama can,
Mhm.
try to understand this thing. Whatever Panorama can do, your firewall is also show the similar reporting, logging, everything.
Okay. Okay.
The only thing, let's say, I will take an example. You guys are mostly working, right?
Yes.
Anyone is fresher here in this class? I guess no. If yes, it's fine.
No,
There is no
no, I
issue.
don't
I'm
think
just
so.
asking. Huh? Even I don't
No,
think so.
no, I don't think so. Is there any
Yes.
fresher in this batch?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So let's talk this thing. You have a GDC, global data center. You have RDC, regional data centers, right? RDC1, RDC2, RDC3, right? You have Panorama in global data center. Okay. In RDC1, you have 2 firewalls, one for the regional data center, and with RDC1, the local branch site is also connected. You have one firewall over here. These are also running in HA, and this is also running in HA. Okay. But as I know, this RDC1 is a backup. This RDC1 and RDC2 are failover of each other. Okay. That means they need to have shared policy. They need to have shared policy. Now try to understand, you don't have Panorama. Okay. I'm answering your question, Amit. Okay. You
Yes.
don't have Panorama, and these two data center firewall are having a shared architecture. They need to have similar policies, right? They need to have similar policy. If you create policy in on each of the firewall, what you're doing, you are increasing complexity, right? Human error might be there. The
Yes.
person can create 20 policy over here, might be 18 policy over here, miss 2 policies, because you
Yes.
need to manually go on the firewall and create, right? But
Correct.
let's say these two data center firewall being managed by Panorama with the help of a template, and there is a shared template architecture over here. So whatever rule you are going to create in this shared template and you are going to deploy, it will be ultimately deploy on the target firewall at a single point of time. So there will be no difference. The object name, the syntax, what each organization, each enterprise organization is having a naming syntax, right? The name of the object
Okay.
should be look like this. With this approach, your troubleshooting will be quite easy. With the name only, you will identify this object group is used for what purpose, right? These are the syntax,
Yes.
these are the policies each organization is, each organization is practicing. These are called good practices of a policy creation. So if two different person are creating, they might have a naming difference, right? They might have a
Correct.
syntax correct, but the name might be different. And that will create a problem because it's a shared policy. It looks identical. So one way is like create policy, copy this policy from here and paste it over here. It's fine, but it's a manual thing, right? Some error might happen. Okay. So in this scenario, Panorama will be quite helpful because it has a shared template with a target device. These data center, it will be pushed in a single go. You'll create policy in a shared template and will be pushed on both the devices. So if you have a bigger enterprise, like multiple data centers, some shared policy architecture, something like that, it will be quite useful. Most important, let's say if your traffic is coming from DC2 and going out from DC1, and that kind of scenario, troubleshooting will be quite difficult, right? Your client is complaining that my traffic is blocking. So on which data center you are going to check first, RDC2 or RDC1? Tell me.
If there is Panorama, then it is better to check on the single Panorama.
Exactly. So in a single pane, in a Panorama, if you have, you can go ahead and check in the logging connection and it will show entire traffic path, right? It will first go to RDC2 and the traffic will be passed from there, but it is blocked on RDC1 because it has no available signature, or maybe it is not available policy, right?
Yes.
So this kind of troubleshooting will be becoming quite easier with the help of Panorama. Okay. Reporting will be easier. You can create a single, from a single location, you can create reporting of all the firewalls, throughput, capacity, performance, whatever, a number of application, number of threats been seen from last 1 month. You can pull all those informations, because the retention time period of the firewalls are quite low, because their storage is quite low. You don't want to keep your firewall storage local, right? You don't want to, because if you keep it, your memory will be exhausted in few months, right? Easily, because firewall is not meant to have logging collection to it, right? So you are going to export all the logs to some log server, whether it be Panorama or maybe some syslog. So that's why Panorama is needed. That is the reason. Otherwise, if you ask me that it is necessary to have, no. Your firewall functioning will not be hampered if you don't have Panorama, but it is good to have. And if it is a bigger enterprise architecture, it is mandatory to have. Okay.
Okay, Praveen, got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Praveen. One
Hi,
last
Sanjay.
question.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, Sanjay, go
Krishna,
ahead.
actually.
Yeah.
Can you hear
Krishna,
me?
I'll take your question. Sanjay asked me
Oh,
first. I'll take
yeah.
your question. Okay. Sanjay, tell me.
Sir, one question, sir. In my organization here, there is 6 type of modem, sir, which is in DHCP. There is no any static IP, sir. But we have already sonic wall firewall, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, my question is, the static IP is must required for firewall or not, sir?
No. Static IP where? On the client machines or the firewall itself?
Firewall itself.
Which interface?
In DHCP, sir.
No,
Which
no.
is direct.
DHCP is fine. So is the firewall responsible to release DHCP addresses to the clients?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, it's not. It might be your design, but it is not mandatory to have. And most importantly, firewall is not a DHCP server. It has a capability, but I won't recommend as a security. I'm a security architect in my company, so I won't recommend to have a DHCP configured on firewall.
Okay, sir. Okay, okay.
It's
Thank
not
you,
a
sir.
mandatory thing. No, not at all. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Yeah, Krishna, tell me.
Hey, yeah. So my question is like, so by end of the course, what is the kind of expectation I can have? Like, would I be able to complete or give a PCNSA or PCNSA certifications? I mean,
As a
does it
certification
course?
point of view, I would suggest you can easily get through your PCNSA and PCNSA both.
Okay, yeah. That's my only question.
You can also, so I would try to cover PSC Strata, okay, into that. So what is PSC Strata? It's a sales engineer, Palo Alto sales engineer for the Strata series. So
Okay.
I would also tell you that how to pitch if you are a, let's say if you're a pre-sales engineer, you are visiting the clients, right? So how to
Yeah.
pitch your idea of having your Palo Alto in your environment, how to pitch that. So I also used to cover those things.
Great. Yeah, currently
In a few 1 or 2 classes, I cover that how to pitch the idea to the customer, why Palo Alto is needed in your environment. So that is
got it.
related to PAC strata. So you can give that exam as well after the class.
Got it. Got it. Yeah,
Okay.
you know, like with respect to Palo Alto firewalls, I'm like currently and also in my previous organization have experience working with it. But yeah, I don't really have a deep dive experience with it. So that's the reason for me to, you know, join this class and obviously to get some certifications and to get
Not
certified.
an issue, not an issue. So see, I can only tell you about myself that I explain the things, I cover the things as per my satisfaction.
Yeah.
If I'm not satisfied, till that time I'm going to explain it out. Okay.
Yeah.
So I won't bother about the time. The time might be little bit longer. You can ask this, networking people, that might be
Yeah.
timeline get increased sometimes, because it depends upon the class understanding also. If you won't be able to understand, if my explanation is not good, I cover these things again and again, unless everyone is on the same page. Okay, that's
No
why
problem.
my class might increase sometime, but I won't leave anyone without being understanding. And most important,
Yeah.
I always try to cover newer things with the newer version. Like I take an example, SSL decryption. I'll take a small example that the flow of SSL decryption in your Palo Alto version 10.0.2 is changed in 10.1 series. So when the version is changed, they have changed the entire flow of the SSL decryption, and that's a big change, I would tell you. SSL decryption is the most important thing here, Palo Alto. It's a big change. So they changed the entire flow, and I cover that part as a practical. So it has
Got it.
been something different before, because when you go for interview, when you go for deployment, and if you, let's say I have covered the practical on 10.0 series, and in your environment 10.0 series is upgraded to 10.2, and over there you will see that what I have what I have told you, it's not there. So you are going to give that what kind of trainer he is not updated in himself. So I won't do
Yeah.
that. I go through the data sheets always. I open the data sheets with the latest features. I cover the changes, that what's new in this particular version. So
Got it.
that level
So
I cover the things,
yeah,
and
so
most
the
of the
latest
features
splits.
which can be practically demonstrated. VSys, like I said, it can't be practically demonstrated on a VM series. We are going to cover the entire practical on a VM series only. I try to cover most of the practicals. Only those practicals are not been practically been proven. I at least try to cover the theoretical part, so that you have
Got it.
some know-how. Yeah.
No problem.
Okay.
Sure. And
So even
the
guys,
version 10
this
is the
this
latest one,
particular
right?
batch we divided into two parts. One is like a PCNSE, and if some of the people who's looking for Panorama, because Panorama is not part of PCNSE, so we have a separate course for that. So only Parveen is the engineer who's delivering Panorama batches with networkings. So you have both the choices, guys. We are just doing a one testing whether we are able to deliver Panorama part or not. But yes, we'll update you by tomorrow that this is including Panorama or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many lectures would be there? Means approximately how many
Guys,
days?
lecture we cannot count because again, Praveen
Any
already informed you that
approximate,
it
any
depends on
because
the satisfaction basically.
Yeah, so lecture, I can give you a rough idea that if you
yeah, rough
have
idea.
if you have a 3 hour class, so then it will take around 25 to 30 days max.
Okay, okay.
3 hour class is won't required, so 2.5 to 3 maximum classes.
Okay, timings will be this at this approx 9 p.m. or time will vary.
Timing will be confirmed by networking
Okay,
before
okay.
admission. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank
And
you,
it's
Praveen.
it's a 3 days in a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, guys. Most
Yeah.
probably
Okay,
So it
timing
will be
is
only
same
3
like
days
at
in a
9
week,
o'clock only,
but
but I still
timings
I'll
would
confirm.
be confirmed. Yeah.
okay, guys. Thank you. So
Okay.
can I leave or anything more is there?
If
No,
you
no,
have any
maybe you
question,
can
you can be here. If not, then you can leave.
No, I have to
No.
log into my work again.
That's
Okay,
fine.
I'll
That's
take a
fine.
leave,
That's
guys.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Tushar.
you. Bye. Have a good
Thank
day.
you. Thank you, guys.
Sorry. So this weekday batch is on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
MWF, yes.
Okay, and the batch will actually start from when? Next week?
Yeah, next week, Monday.
I see. Okay, okay. Because the thing is, okay. I'll check with later on this. Thank you.
Even I shared my like a WhatsApp number. You can contact us. We can help you with the details and all for the timing and all in the chat box.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So thanks, guys, and thanks for being so.
Thanks. Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.